This is Addie, our G4170 from Brinkley. She's our home, our base camp, our everything. And if we don't have power, our world stops. That's why this build is important. We need a system that can handle our daily workload and still be quiet. Generators are great, but they can't be used all the time. Generators also require fuel, which means that we have to make different plans when we're boondocking.
Take me to the place where I come from, the only place where I really belong. Take me 'cause this voyage seems so long. Back to you. Ooh. Back to you.
Hi, welcome to the second video in our Powering Addie series.
This video is about the design process, and there's going to be a fairly long set of discussions with our designer, Chris at EcoEthic Solar, about our design choices and some going back and forth where he educates us on some of our design choices and options we have. The video's long, so we've chapter marked it so that you can kind of skip to the area. I didn't edit the video very much because the conversation that we had with Chris over a period of a couple of days, I think is really indicative of the type of conversation you should be having if you're paying someone to design a custom solar system for you. And they should be walking you through the design choices like Chris and his team did. And so I hope that these types of conversations and questions and answers help you with some of your own decisions.
And one of the things you're going to notice is that the first time we were having conversations with Chris, it was much earlier and it was a different rig than than what we actually ended up putting the solar on. We started this negotiation back a long time ago, back when we first bought our 3970, so almost a year ago. And he started asking us questions at that point. And what we designed for our 3970 and what we actually installed in Addie are not the same.
Right. We got much more intelligent after living in Addie or in Wanda for 9 months and going to Alaska. We learned a lot more about camping and what type of thing we're interested in doing. And we changed some of the focus of the technology.
We did.
Right.
We also didn't do the battery cage that was going to hang off the bottom of the rig,
Right.
which, since we may have bottomed out a couple times, I'm kind of glad we didn't do that.
Right.
So we've made changes on like how much solar we're putting on and when are we okay with using a generator.
How many batteries we have, what the weight is, right? So you'll see those conversations come out during this conversation with Chris. So enjoy the video, and we'll see you at the end for wrap up. Thanks for watching. Lead on. What are we doing?
We are talking about some designs for your system.
Cool.
So I know we were originally talking about some, I know we were looking at doing the Quattros.
Right.
And I know you had some questions about as far as power.
Right.
And power quality.
Yes.
And that's what you want to maintain.
Right.
So before I get too far into this drawing, that's
Okay.
something I was wanting to kind of go over with you.
Fantastic.
When it comes to power quality, you're not going to get a better power quality than just strictly inverter power.
Right.
And as you're aware, when you connect to a grid of any sort with these inverters, once its transfer switch latches, you're basically locked into whatever power is available.
Right.
Now there's another way to design this system.
Okay.
And the way to give you perfect power would be to forget about connecting to shore power
Right.
and use shore power strictly for battery charging.
Recharging. Right. Okay.
And this is the way if we were going to design a sailing vessel that was traveling around the world to multiple different types of power sources and frequencies.
Right.
that's how you would design a boat like that.
Okay.
You would design it to where your AC input just goes straight to big battery chargers.
Right.
And you just have strictly inverters at that point.
Okay. It solves your frequency, your power droop in Las Vegas in the middle of the summer, and bad power quality and bad phasing, the whole 9 yards.
So
Okay.
like the drawing that I'm working on here is just, this would be a standard drawing that we would do for any type of RV. So shore power generator to a transfer switch. I know we had discussed doing an auto transformer because the generator only outputs a single phase.
Yeah.
And then, but again, with this design, you're going to be
Very friendly.
locked into whatever available power there is.
Okay.
So then I guess the next question is going to be is how critical are your appliances
Right.
and how, like, what type of things are you running? Because with this design, you're going to have voltage drops and things.
Right.
You know.
We've got 3 GE 13 kilobtu air conditioner with heat pumps on them. Our goal is, we're going to Quartzsite here in February, and our goal is to be able to go to the Badlands or wherever and be able to run our air conditioners across all 3 of them.
Right. And you, with either design, you're going to be able to do that, no problem. But that's the one thing that the Victron inverters cannot do is correct incoming power.
Right. What do you think the pros and cons are of each of those?
They both get you to the same end goal.
Okay.
The Quattros have very powerful battery chargers
Right.
built into them because it's basically just reversing how that transformer works. That's how Victron does it.
So is the other one then you're going to do a battery charger with not a Quattro so that they're separate?
It would basically just be, we do Phoenix inverters that are just an inverter. And then we do the Victron Skyla chargers or some of their big battery chargers that are for boats.
Got it.
Put a bunch of those in parallel and they accept whatever you throw at them on the AC because they don't care. It's just a battery charger. And it's just going to output as much current as we want. And the whole end goal is to put in more DC current than DC current out.
Right.
And we win.
Okay.
That's the goal. So the beauty of it is the wide range of voltage that is accepted. Chargers. So these are some of the big marine chargers that we can get. These are 12 and 24. And we can parallel many of these, but this is the key to this.
Right.
Its input voltage ranges from 90 to 265, 50 or 60 hertz. It does not care what we give it. And this is where I don't want to completely change your design, but I know that good power was something that was a concern for you.
Yeah, I'm learning more having been in the rig, right? So we don't have, so at this point what we're looking at adding is a traditional separate washer and dryer, which will run on, I don't think the dryers run on 240.
No.
Right.
Not the ones for RVs.
Right. So that was my concern, was having a real 240 output. I haven't come up with anything that needs a good solid 240.
Nothing for your RV will.
So that was me being over designing the system.
Okay. That's fine. But that's just what got me thinking about this. So I wanted you to be aware that there is another option to achieve that.
I had not thought of that. That is really cool.
This is how I would design a boat that's a world sailing vessel. Now I've already got a plan for your batteries.
Okay.
And like we were talking about slinging them underneath, I've already got the design worked out in my head on how I want to do all that.
Nice.
So we're going to be able to get it underneath there. The only downside is if any repairs have to be done under your belly pan, the battery bank will have to come down. So they will need a forklift to do so.
Got it.
It will not be, I mean, you could do it with jacks, but it's not going to be easy. Because what I'm thinking is making a big modular battery bank in a big welded steel case.
Okay.
And then we just bolt it to the frame with grade 8 bolts.
Got it.
3 on each side, grade 8, right up to the frame.
Have you thought about it? So I like that idea. The first thing that pops into my mind is fire suppression. Because I know like some of the batteries now from some of the manufacturers, I forget who, but I saw one manufacturer that was putting a fire suppression something inside their battery case
Typically with 48 volt batteries.
with 48 volt
Yeah.
batteries.
And I'm trying to keep this to 24.
Okay.
Just because 48 volts, now our switching is different, our fusing is different.
Right.
Everything has to be a little bit different once you get in over 48 volts.
Right.
Right. Now I've already got a plan for your batteries.
Okay.
And like we were talking about slinging them underneath, I've already
Okay.
got the design worked out in my head on how I want to do all that.
Nice.
So we're going to be able to get it underneath there. The only downside is if any repairs have to be done under your belly pan, the battery bank will have to come down.
Down. Got
So
it.
they will need a forklift to do so.
Got it. The first thing that pops into my mind is fire suppression. I saw one manufacturer that was putting a fire suppression something inside their battery case
Typically with 48 volt batteries.
with 48 volt batteries.
And I'm trying to keep this to 24.
Okay.
Just because 48 volts, now our switching is different, our fusing is different.
Right.
Everything has to be a little bit different once you get in over 48 volts.
Right.
So that way we can get the battery pack underneath the vehicle and the weight slung back towards the axles.
Nice.
Because we're looking at, I've got another note sheet somewhere, but we're looking at somewhere around equipment and batteries, a little over 1,000 pounds, but then once we add up all the solar and everything like that too, we're adding probably another 1,500
So we're looking at 2,500 pounds total?
total. So we need to spread it out as much as possible.
Okay. We need to do some thinking on that because the total capacity of the coach is only like 3,500 pounds total. And I had thought 27 kilowatt hours is a lot when I have a generator that I can
That's true.
charge, right? So we hadn't yet talked about the custom.
Which I had already
battery
dropped it down to 22.
Okay. Or one of my questions for today was going to be, if you were using regular preformed batteries, would it be possible to build the case where you're putting them and only put less than 27, and you've already knocked it down to 22?
Yeah, the case will still be able to support probably 2 more of these.
Okay.
So I am a fan of, for an RV, and that's why I was wanting to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because I know that you were like, you want clean, good power and this and that, but you can get it. And that
Right.
was my point, is we can get you perfect power, 120 volts per leg, everything's gonna be perfect. But now we have to do so many of those battery chargers in parallel to achieve it, it's just gonna be
So what we will do, I based on what you're telling me, so one of the things we were looking at is that Hurst's long arm sewing machine is really dependent on good power.
right.
Okay. However, the simpler solution to this is to use a sine wave UPS and just plug it into the power outlet and let it do the sine wave conversion if there is malformed power coming out, and just do it there rather than trying to do it for the whole coach. Because my computers won't care. Right.
Right. But even UPSs don't correct power.
So the UPSs that she has is basically, it's basically looks a lot like this. It's got a direct line in, big ass battery, and a direct conversion out.
Got you. So it's doing what I had said. It's just charging a battery and then it's running it through an inverter.
Right.
Okay, so that's going to give you perfect power there.
Right. But it's only for that one particular piece of electronic equipment that needs it.
Okay, so that's the most sensitive
Yeah.
electronic item you have. Well,
Yeah.
then, let's not change the whole design just for one appliance. I know did you email me a drawing
I did.
of the roof, or did you
did.
email it to Cindy? Yeah, I got it here. 1, 2, 3, 4,
And we can take the
7,
travel phi and wind guard out.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 to 16 panels
Yeah.
is what I'm seeing from
Yeah.
this, that you'd reasonably be able to get on it. And I think we spec'd 18.
Yeah.
And normally the way that works is we just overdo it. Whatever we can get up there is what we can get.
Yeah.
We have the drawings from Brinkley of where the roof supports are.
Oh, good.
So that's one thing they're very helpful for. So that makes our life a lot easier. And Brinkley also added a chase in for extra solar from the roof down. So that just makes it that much more easy to do. Okay, 100. So you're looking at 3,200 watts
Right.
of panels on the roof.
Right.
Did we spec solar on the side of this?
No.
Okay. You're probably going to want that,
Okay.
an extra controller and
An extra controller for side inputs?
Like
Yes, cool.
and some
field
flexible.
deployable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because here's the other thing too that I always try to explain to people. We get a lot of people that want to just load the roof down and get as much solar as you can possibly put up there. But then now you have to sit in the sun
Right.
if you want it to function.
Right.
So it's kind of it's good and it's bad. It's good while you're traveling, and yeah, there's some places in the desert that you're going to just be sitting out in sunlight. But you're not going to want to camp like that 24/7.
No.
Sometimes you want to pull out and pull back into the shade, and that's where having the side deployables and like a 50-foot pre-made cable comes in, because then you can just put out 1,000 watts of panels in the grass,
Right.
and you're good to go.
Right.
So that's something I would
Yes.
recommend for
Yeah.
sure. And you don't necessarily even need the quattros, because we're going to do the switching before the inverter.
Okay.
So we don't need the quattros three-way switch, because the quattro itself has an input for shore and an input for generator.
Right.
It does the transfer on its own.
Right.
But because we want to run things through an auto transformer, we're going to need to do that switch after shore and gen. Then the switch will go to the auto transformer. And I'm still in the air whether I want to do a manual bypass for the auto transformer. So if it ever has a problem, that you can just bypass it. It's something I've put some thought into, but just a physical switch.
Yes.
So this is how you do a manual transfer.
Right. I don't know if you caught, speaking of the generator is funky, right? It says it's a 50 amp output, but it's got pre-wired a leg for 30 amp and a leg for 20 amp, or connectors for it, right? And I can't figure out how they would do the windings to give you different current on them, but there's an internal breaker there somewhere. So what I'm worried about is that means that if you put them together, because they're phase coherent, right, and then split them, the most that you can pull is 40 amps off of it, because the second leg that you're pulling from, as soon as you try and go to like 44 or 45 amps on it, it puts 22.5 across both output leg, and you'll trip that 20 amp breaker.
What's the brand of the generator?
It's an iPower 5500.
Flex power.
Close enough. So if it's an inverter generator,
Yeah, see, its actual max output is 45.8 across the two, but they've got a 30 amp and a 20 amp circuit on it. Right.
and that's fine.
Right.
Because you've still got the beauty of this system is you've got the power assist features.
Right.
So even whatever the generator can't create, the inverter and the batteries will,
Right.
and you're good.
I just wanted you to know that the two output legs coming off the generator are not rated for the same output.
Right. So I would say all we're going to take in this situation from the generator is probably 30 amps.
Okay.
Nothing, I would say.
Because it's just going to charge the batteries.
Yeah, that's all you're going to be doing with it. Because the idea is we want to start the generator, charge the batteries really fast, and stop the generator.
Okay.
We want to use less fuel.
Right.
And it's, from this point on, once this system is in, there's going to be no need for you to actually start and stop your generator anymore. The system's going to do all of that. Unless you're just like, hey, we're going into bad weather, I want to top my batteries up because we're going to get a week of bad weather.
Right.
But other than that, you're not going to be manually starting your generator anymore.
Cool.
But yeah, 30 amps from the generator would be more than
Okay.
enough.
Cool.
But yeah, that's all I really needed to talk to you about is just.
Okay, so day 2 of the build, and a whole bunch has been already done. What have you got, Chris?
Okay, so we have basic equipment lists of most of the items that are going to add weight.
Right.
Next to each one of these items we'll typically just write out the weights because we're going to keep up with our calculations for over here.
Okay.
Because this is your gross vehicle weight rating, this is your unloaded vehicle weights,
Right.
that's your total hitch weight. So we just need to make sure that we don't go over this number
Right.
and all that, which we've already done these weight calculations already, and I think we're only adding like 1,000 pounds,
Cool.
if that.
Great.
But we're still going to keep up with everything as we go to make sure we're not over that number.
Appreciate that. What is that in the upper left-hand corner there?
These were sent to us by Brinkley for your particular rig on where all your blocking is in your roof. So this is part of the build out sheet for your particular rig. And this is another one showing blocking.
Cool.
The backers and things like that that Brinkley sent us.
Nice. And I'm taking it that you just called Brinkley and they were really good about it.
Well, it took an hour or two, but they were able to get it to us and
That's
no problem. Which, considering most RV manufacturers, that takes weeks sometimes.
Right.
So
Great.
they did a good job there. This is how your new system will function. So shore power and generator
okay.
come into an auto transfer switch, a secondary auto transfer switch.
Okay.
Your generator comes through an 100 amp auto transformer,
Okay.
transforms from 120 volts to 120/240.
Okay.
Comes in through the auto transfer switch, and then the legs split to leg 1 and leg 2 of the Quattros.
Okay.
Output of those goes into a 50 amp load center with a 50 amp breaker.
Okay.
In that load center, there will be a midnight SPD, a surge protection device.
Got it.
And then from there, the output of these will go into your factory automatic transfer switch and then onto your AC load panel.
Okay.
And then if you see here, there's a bypass. So what this allows is these two can still come into the first transfer switch, but if you ever have a problem with any of this,
Okay.
you flip the manual bypass, and now you can bypass all of the inverters
Right.
and still function. And then it functions as if it's this again.
Okay. Cool.
So that's how that works, and that's what these types of switches are for.
Yeah.
So that's a 50 amp manual
Right.
transfer switch.
Right.
That will be able to transfer both hot lines and your neutral with. So we can just bypass all of that. And this switch will live in the bay.
Right.
So if you ever did have a problem, you'll have to crawl into the bay, open the door, flip the big switch.
Right. Well, if you're still watching at this point in the video, thanks for making it all the way through and watching that, and we hope that it was helpful to you. If you found it interesting and would like to see more, the third video is coming soon, and that's going to actually be about the install process. It's going to show the disassembly and the installation and some of the commissioning steps. So if you're interested in seeing that, make sure to hit subscribe so that you're notified when the video comes out. And we really would appreciate a like on this video as well. It means a lot to us as a small channel. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
If you want more information on what we are talking about in this video, we do have a longer video on our other YouTube channel, which is RV Solar Doc.
I've been so many places, I've seen them all with open eyes. Seen islands, open spaces, Serengeti sun slowly rise. All these memories, I hold them near me when I sail the Aegean Sea. But there's one place for me. Take me to the place where I come from, the only place where I really belong. Take me 'cause this voyage seems so long. Back to you. Ooh. Back to you.